Good evening, everybody. We got here a 1v1 between two well-known Age of Empires players. That is MbL and Miguel, and it's going to be set on, you know it, Arabia. So, let's get right into it. We do have in the blue playing as the Chinese, hence the big villager count to begin with, MbL. And his enemy to the north of the map is going to be Miguel, playing as the Vikings. Both of these teams having their own unique economical advantages, of course, and both somewhat more versatile civilizations, of course, Chinese being well-rounded for the options that are available to them, and Vikings typically go for more of an archer start and could move into infantry, but unlikely to see much cavalry out of these units. So we see scouting around with the sheep to try and find the rest of the sheep, so he will see these last ones now, run his scout over, and he can bring his sheep back, or I guess goats in this situation, to his town center fairly simply. So both of these players looking to just build up in the Dark Age. I will fast forward a little bit as we do see Miguel pushing in his first ostrich.
Yes.
Of course, trying to get that a little bit of an advantage. And look at this. Does he not see? Just barely misses these two goats. So that is a big deal because he probably thinks, playing against MbL, who's well known for laming and has been for quite a while, he probably thinks that MbL lamed him. And look how close that is to being spotted. And neither of them still. Look at that. Unbelievable, as the militia are coming forward, and he now sees the goats. He's pretty happy that he walled there. And I will slow it down as the Dark Age rush is going to be coming forward for Miguel. Of course, MbL already on the way up to the feudal age. That is the advantage of not going for militia to start out. But he needs to make sure that he's well protected against this Dark Age rush. He doesn't have the walls up yet. We will take a look at his point of view. Fog of War on, and he sees this coming a mile away. Wall up, MbL. Deciding not to go for walls. Just going to invite them into attack. Fight back with his villagers and get a couple free shots on his militia. So, of course, with weak militia, you are able to, in small numbers, engage with villagers, but this is the risk that you take. That scout able to do quite a bit of damage, and a villager down already for MbL. So, of course, he is going to be putting out spearmen right off the bat. And still trying to get little bits of advantages here and there, but still choosing not to wall off. With only 2 militia, he can engage with enough villagers, but it's a bit messy as he's coming out with his archery range. Once we get 1 or 2 archers out, that will be enough to force this army back. I mean, even this spearman and a couple of villagers should be enough, as MbL is housed right now. Very badly housed, as a matter of fact, and the spearman takes out 1 militia, and then the scout will come forward and try to protect as much as possible. A blacksmith and archery range now out for MbL, and his enemy gonna have an archery range as well, so we will see some archer on archer play to begin the game. And fairly close with villager counts. A little bit of an advantage for the Viking player. And will MbL be able to wall this guy in? He gets the first wall, gets the second. Great quick walls there. 1 more shot and he would have been dead. So big deal for him to get that out. Archer's going forward. He knows exactly where the enemy is, and this militia just needs a couple villagers to kill it, but you don't want to be wasting too much time, so an archer is coming forward. Honestly, this scout and militia could actually take out this archer if positioned properly, but now the archer gets a couple shots off, and that should be good enough to clean up the Dark Age Rush. Pretty successful Dark Age Rush, if you ask me, for Miguel. But now he's got a little bit of a rush coming in on him. Skirmishers already out for defense, and the archers, of course, not going to be able to do too much against the skirmishers, but that scout will do quite a bit, so the villagers having to engage. Don't like how far in MbL ran against 3 skirmishers. They will take out 1 archer, but he should be able to get away with the 2nd archer for now. As 1 archer did also go down for MbL in the back of his base. This villager was saved, but now will be protected underneath the farm. When we take a look at the military and economy levels, we do see that MbL has a slight villager lead, but one thing to note, he does not have the eco upgrade that the Vikings automatically get when they move on to the next age. So Viking economy will be stronger even with a slight villager deficit, as a switch into stable units is coming for MbL. He saw these skirmishers. He knows that there's skirmishers on the field for the enemy, and 1, 2 scouts, that's enough to clean up this army easily. The wall off, of course, almost completed for the Viking player, and he will have a lot of space back here to boom up, drop extra town centers in the next age, and the big wall now coming up for MbL as well. A little bit less wood lines in the back of his base, but he will also be happy to be walling up where possible. Taking out that lion, as they're both somewhat vying for position, looking to build up their economies as much as possible, both looking to keep their army numbers high, but not so high that they ruin their economy for it. 4+1 attack and 4+1 attack for both of these players. However, the Viking player already with the first armor on his archers. 4 archers forward, and the scouts go straight for the archers of the enemy. They know that if they take out these archers, none of the melee units are going to be feeling too much pressure. So now the 2 archers are done, the skirmishers have to turn around and run, and they'll make it back in time, but what will be there to protect them? A few more archers. So the first scout down, and looking to get in as close as possible to these skirmishers, just to make sure they get as much value as they can. As the scout does take out 1 skirmisher here, but this spearman will scare that scout away. Won't be able to take out any more. Military advantage now in Miguel's favor, but MbL deciding to wall up behind this. He's going to be making more archers, and Miguel on the way up to the next age. MbL still quite a ways away. He might be able to buy his way up, but that is a big advantage for a castle age army with the military advantage already. He's got the numbers on his side, as a 2nd archery range is coming up for the Chinese player of MbL. And so as you can see, MbL just expanding his villager lead bit by bit. And he's going to try and hold off until he gets up to the next stage. These walls, very, very helpful right now. They will protect his economy. They will protect this gold pile that's going to be so important as we continue on, because this gold pile is going to be rangeable by everything. As a 3rd archery range is coming forward, and we're going to see skirmisher-archer combination for both of these players. And the armor is coming in now for MbL, as the scouts loop around with the skirmishers, deciding to keep his archers out of this fight actually. Probably a good idea. Doesn't want to get any free shots on those archers, deciding to just show his skirmishers for now. And that is a good move, as the spearman does get a little bit out but is able to be negated by the skirmishers before it can get too many big shots. So Castle Age in now for MbL, or for Miguel, I mean, and immediately going for crossbow and bodkin, but his army is already caught out of position, so he gets away with his archers. They will be upgraded, as you can see here, +2 attack and range already, and the crossbow upgrade will be in shortly, and more archers coming forward. Not too big of an advantage for either player at this point in time. But we do see the first town center being dropped for Miguel, and a university and a third town center. This is the Viking economy right here.
Yeah.
The ability to be dropping the university and 2 town centers, very difficult in most civilizations. As you can see here, MbL only with the university right now, still on just the 1 town center. Caught out a little bit sloppy there for Miguel. Not sure if I agree with that on both sides, losing his entire army, but he does have more being built in the back, and he's focused more on his economy than on his army. So the tables are going to switch a little bit here, as we see that he is going to boom up, collect as much wood, as much gold as possible, and then just completely overwhelm MbL. At least that's what he's going to go for. Ballistics already coming in for MbL. And nothing, I do not believe the ballistics are in yet for Miguel. So that university was put up right at the start of Castle Age, but I did not see ballistics come in. We will of course see once the first engagement begins. Scouts will fall to this army of crossbows, but will have to retreat, as both of these players will be microing their heart out, as it's 8 versus 8 archers, but the reinforcements are right here for Miguel. That is the defender's advantage, of course. Both these players able to micro their way through, able to gain little advantages here and there that can really snowball. And I do not believe that ballistics is in. Yeah, ballistics coming in now for Miguel, but MbL has had it for this entire fight. The reinforcements come in, and they will clean up this army, but good play by MbL. Great micro there, as the armies are completely destroyed. We now have 7 for each player, and another town center for MbL right next to his original one. Just wants to get a little bit of protection on that gold. Still only the 2 for him, but he's going to be totally okay with that for now. Big villager lead for Miguel, but he's investing quite a bit in his economy right now, so his army will suffer. So he needs to maintain, he needs to hold out, continuing to wall off to the side, and he's going to be dropping a castle with all of the stone that he is collecting up, as there are 6 archers able to pick off small groups. That is the trouble with losing your main army. Once you lose your main army, this small group can pick off any reinforcements. So smart move on Miguel to be trying to boom up, trying to hold his army in these archery ranges until he can get a mass big enough to engage against just these 6 archers. And there was a hole. Of course there was a hole. So all of this walling for nothing, but the town center will provide a little bit of protection for now. Of course, these crossbows do outrange the town center, and a forward siege workshop coming out, and a defensive one already in the mix for Miguel. This defensive siege workshop will be able to do wonders, as MbL doesn't have anything coming forward, but he is going straight into a fast Imperial Age. So that second town center will still be able to produce villagers, so he won't drop down far too much, as Miguel is a long ways away from the Imperial Age. MbL is going to just look to get a technological advantage, as he has 7 range, on these crossbows, but once they get upgraded, he will be able to outrange the mangonel of the enemy, and he'll be able to drop his own siege units. So that will be big, but he'll need a lot of good siege because there's a castle in defense for Miguel. So Miguel dropping his castle. MbL is all in on this advantage, trying to get what he can. He has the military advantage. He's got more military, and he's going to have much better equipped military, but he's only going to have a small window for that, as the Viking player will have his own castle and will be in the Imperial Age, not too far behind. No castle yet for MbL, and he's still quite a ways away from that. He's only got 2 villagers collecting up stone, a few idols here, but of course his mind is elsewhere, as the idols still not working on anything, but he is getting attacked on the wood line. MbL needs to press his advantage the second he hits Imperial Age. He needs to have these upgrades in, as he will have the equal upgrade shortly once this defense comes in. But will it be enough? Battering rams coming forward for the Chinese player. Once these get upgraded to even just capped rams, that will be a big advantage, and he will be able to move forward against this castle, even with some berserks coming out. And MbL shouldn't be engaging too much right now against Miguel. Miguel's going to love this fight, getting out as many of the crossbows as he can before the upgrades come in. We do see the upgrades coming in right now. Arbalest a little bit delayed just because his economy was so tight with this fast Imperial Age, but now the upgrades are going to come in. Now he's going to be engaging. He can take out mangonels, he can outrange them, and he will be very strong shortly. Moving his army forward, he's going to have capped ram, and these rams are going to be able to take out this castle. We look at Miguel's point of view, his fog of war. He sees these capped rams coming forward, and now MbL has seen this castle too. Mangonel, the biggest defense he has against these capped rams, and MbL having to turn around to run away. Unable to fight against this yet. Both players are in the Imperial Age. We do see chemistry coming in for the Viking player, and I don't think MbL pressed his advantage enough. He now is tied for military, but is 35 villagers behind. His battering rams completely useless as he is moving into skirmishers now, and of course skirmishers good against the archers, but even against mangonels going to suffer quite a bit, as MbL now knows he needs to add economy. He needs protection against this army. Still these idle villagers, so now they're going to make a move. He hasn't been collecting gold other than these forward villagers here, as more archery ranges getting dropped, more skirmishers. Elite skirmisher is going to be on the way, and chemistry now in for MbL. He still has the arbalest advantage right now. He does not have the skirmisher advantage yet, but now arbalests come in for Miguel. That will be coming forward right now, and the mangonel will be able to scare away the enemy as much as it can. So splits, fairly easy to take out mangonels with the Imperial Age upgrades, but this forward siege workshop going down. 3 siege workshops forward now for Miguel, and he's gonna want to just attack. Look at his army count continuously improving. He is losing this little army here, but he doesn't care because he's got army here. Lots of idols, having to run around, find new spots for MbL, losing the precious villagers that he has, and he can't even hit the army with his town center. I think this is it for MbL, but of course it is MbL we're talking about, who notoriously will not give up his fights early on. He always wants to stay till the bitter end. He wants to stay in as long as possible. If he sees that there's a possibility of winning, he will try to get that advantage, and he is spamming out skirmishers right now, cleaning up the arbalests very well. Of course, skirmishers, they do naturally counteract the arbalests, and yeah, that was a bold move for Miguel to be with one weak villager building a castle. If he had 3 villagers, even 4, that castle would have gone up for sure. And now the castle is denied by MbL, so interesting move, and a castle built right next to it by MbL. Capram's going to attack it, so a little bit of a freebie for MbL, but now, what's he going to do against 5 capped rams coming in strong? He needs to attack the capped ram with his villagers and with his own rams. They're now siege rams. This castle is going to drop like nothing. The only real advantage he had there is that he spotted that castle, as there are more siege rams just coming across the map. 108 villagers right now for Miguel. He's probably happy with his villager count, with what he's at. This castle is going to fall down very quickly, and nothing to respond to the siege rams yet, as it's only archer units. Some Chuko news coming in, so of course Chuko news do a little bit better against the siege rams, but won't be enough. Militarily, Miguel has maintained his advantage, but MbL is really catching up for villager count. He does have a stronger economy now than he did at any other point in the game, and so he has been able to hold out. But this many siege rams, we've all been in that position where there's nothing we can do. Knights coming forward. Knights, of course, going to do a lot better against siege rams, but look how many shots it's going to take out one siege ram with this knight. Only one knight so far at a time, so these buildings will just fall like nothing. The villagers having to attack, so the little bit of an advantage that he was trying to gain back with his villager count negated by the fact that his villagers are having to just fight. So he's got 20 villagers right now, lots of micro intensity that's required to attack siege rams with villagers. Once they get taken out, they immediately have to be selected to attack the next one. MbL on his back foot, but it is MbL. It's MbL, and he has come back from massive deficits before. I just do not think that he has enough in his tank to be able to come back from this deficit. The points, the score is completely in favor of the enemy, and that is it. The GG is called. Just a masterclass of how strong the Viking economy can be. And if the initial push can be held off enough, there's nothing that can be done later on in the game.